Chapter 2. The Battle for Tomorrow. The Shadow of Doubt. The morning after the council meeting, Ava Sinclair stood in her office at the New Horizon Initiative's headquarters, looking out over the vast expanse of Elysium. The city sprawled beneath her, a labyrinth of towering skyscrapers and sprawling slums, each representing a facet of humanity's ongoing struggle for balance. Ava's eyes, usually filled with determination, now bore the weight of 1,000 questions. She had secured the initial support she needed to bring her vision to life, but doubt had crept into her mind. The resistance, led by powerful corporate figures and military commanders, was far stronger than anticipated. They had already begun to mobilize, using their influence to stoke fear among the people. They argued that Ava's radical vision for a united world was a threat to their way of life, that it would dismantle the very systems that allowed them to thrive. But Ava knew better. She had seen firsthand the devastation caused by inequality, the suffering of those who were left behind. In the wake of human progress, her vision wasn't about taking power from the elites. It was about giving the world a chance to rebuild from the ground up, to ensure that no one was left to starve or suffer in silence. Still, the fear lingered. Was the world truly ready for such change? Was she? The door to her office slid open, and Dr. Elias Kane stepped inside, his face drawn with concern. "Ava," he began, his voice low, "they're making moves. The opposition is intensifying. We've intercepted more communications. They're organizing a massive counter-campaign. They'll try to discredit you and the initiative." Ava nodded, her gaze unwavering. "I knew it was coming, but we can't let them control the narrative. We need to get ahead of them, show the world that we're not just proposing a dream. We're offering a reality. We can't let fear win." Elias hesitated before continuing. "There's something else. We've discovered a potential ally within the resistance, someone who could sway their position, someone who has the ear of the council. But we need to move quickly, before they close off all avenues." Ava's mind raced. If they could secure this ally, it might tilt the balance in their favor. "Who is it?" she asked, her voice steady. "Chancellor Nikolai Volkov," Elias replied. Ava's heart skipped a beat. Volkov was a formidable figure, the head of the council, and a man known for his ruthlessness. If she could win him over, it would mean victory for the New Horizon Initiative. But Volkov was not easily swayed. She would have to play her cards carefully. "I'll meet him," Ava said, resolve in her eyes. "If Volkov is the key, then I'll make sure he understands the stakes. This world has to change, whether they're ready for it or not." The silent negotiation Ava's meeting with Chancellor Volkov was scheduled for later that afternoon. She arrived at his private estate, a lavish compound located in the heart of Elysium. The estate was a stark contrast to the poverty-stricken districts that surrounded the city. Volkov's wealth was visible in every corner of his home. The finest art, the most advanced technology, and luxuries that only the elite could afford. As she entered the grand meeting room, Volkov was already seated at a long, polished table, his sharp eyes studying her every move. He was a man who thrived on control, and he knew that the upcoming vote could determine the future of his influence. "Ava Sinclair," Volkov said, his voice smooth and calculated. "I trust you're aware of the gravity of the situation. Your proposal threatens the very foundations upon which this world has been built." Ava took her seat opposite him, unwavering. "I know exactly what I'm proposing, Chancellor. But what I'm offering is not just a shift in power, it's a transformation. The systems in place are outdated, and the world is crumbling under the weight of inequality. If we continue down this path, we will destroy ourselves." Volkov's eyes narrowed. "You have a vision, I'll give you that. But vision alone won't change the world. The people will never accept what you're proposing. It's too radical, too risky. And if you push too hard, you will fracture the fragile peace we've fought so long to maintain." Ava leaned forward, her tone firm but measured. You underestimate. The people, Chancellor. They don't want the same broken system. They want change. And change is inevitable. The question is whether you want to be part of it or be left behind. Volkov studied her for a moment, his face inscrutable. And what do you want from me? I need your support, Volkov, Ava said, her voice steady. I need you to use your influence to sway the council in my favor. If you want to maintain power, in the new era, you'll need to stand with us, not against us. There was a long silence before Volkov spoke again, his expression shifting from skepticism to something more calculating. You're offering me a seat at the table of this new world, but at what cost? What happens when the elites are no longer in control? What happens when power is truly decentralized? Ava's eyes gleamed with resolve. The people will control their future, not you, not me, not anyone in this room, but the ones who've been silenced for so long will finally have a voice. Volkov sat back, steepling his fingers deep in thought. Perhaps, he said slowly, but don't mistake my hesitation for weakness, Ava. If you push too hard, I'll have no choice but to stand against you. I understand, Ava replied, her gaze unwavering. But this is bigger than us. It's about the future of humanity. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The future hung in the balance, and Ava knew that the next few hours would shape the course of the coming era. The resistance. Grows back at the New Horizon Initiative's headquarters, Elias Kane paced anxiously. News of Ava's meeting with Volkov had already spread, and the resistance was not idle. They had begun to rally their supporters, crafting a campaign to discredit Ava and the initiative. Elias had always known that the fight for the new era would be difficult, but seeing the opposition's tactics grow more aggressive was a sobering reminder of the stakes. The corporate elites, fearful of losing their power, were already launching smear campaigns in the media, portraying Ava as a radical who wanted to destroy the world's economy. They painted her as someone who was naive, dangerous, and unfit to lead. But Elias had known Ava long enough to understand her resolve. She wasn't just fighting for power, she was fighting for humanity's future. She had the vision and the courage to push through the resistance, no matter how fierce it became. Elias sat down at his console, sending encrypted messages to key allies in the underground movement. It was time to counteract the narrative the opposition was spreading. They needed to show the world that Ava wasn't just a dreamer. She was a leader who had the ability to make the new era a reality. As the hours passed, Elias felt the weight of the struggle pressing in on him. But even in the face of mounting pressure, he remained hopeful. Ava's cause was just, and if they could rally enough support, they would break through the opposition's grip. The tipping point. The day of the final vote had arrived. Tensions were at an all-time high, and the streets of Elysium were filled with protests from both sides of the debate. Crowds gathered outside the council building, some cheering for Ava's proposal, while others held signs denouncing her as a threat to the established order. Ava arrived at the council chambers, her mind focused on the task ahead. Volkov had remained silent since their meeting, and she had no idea where he stood. The council was divided, but the support from the people was growing stronger. The question was whether it would be enough to sway the undecided members. As Ava walked into the grand hall, she was met with a wave of murmurs and wary glances. The time had come. It was now or never. Chancellor Volkov stood at the head of the table, his gaze sweeping across the room. We are gathered here today to decide the fate of humanity's future, he began, his voice carrying authority. What will we choose? The safety of the status quo, or the risk of transformation? The room fell silent as the weight of his words settled over the council. Ava knew that this was the moment of truth, the new beginning. The vote was a tense, dramatic affair. Each member of the council cast their vote in silence, their faces a mixture of uncertainty, hope, and fear. Ava stood at the front of the room, her hands clenched at her sides, as she waited for the results. Chancellor Volkov stepped forward, the results in his hand. "The vote is complete," he said, his voice steady. "The New Horizon initiative has been approved. The new era begins now."